stand as we acknowledge the singing of the national anthem of Barbados. This will be done by Adeline Ennis.
Our pride is from a pride that makes no wanton boast of what it has withstood, that binds our hearts from coast to coast, the pride of nationhood. We loyal sons and daughters all do hereby make it known. These fields and hills beyond recall are now our very own. We write our names on history's page with expectations great, strict guardians of our heritage, firm craftsmen of our fate. The Lord has been the people's guide for past 300 years. With him still on the people's side, we have no doubts or fears. Upward and onward we shall go, inspired, exalted, free, and greater will our nation grow in strength and unity. We loyal sons and daughters all do hereby make it known. These fields and hills beyond recall are now our very own. We write our names on history's page with expectations great, strict guardians of our heritage, firm craftsmen of our faith.
Kindly remain standing as we invite the Reverend Pakel LaPlante to offer the prayer. We pray.
Eternal God and Heavenly Father, we thank you for the many things you have given unto us. Thank you for another year with the opportunity to serve you and our fellow men. Father, we ask that you bless everyone here. We pray that you will continue to bless the plans, discussions that will take place, and everyone will be happy thereafter. Father, we thank you for your faithfulness, because you have been so faithful to us. May we, the people, Do pattern our lives after your faithfulness. For after all, we all have seen what faithfulness can do. Bless and protect all of us. Bless the chairman. Bless the prime minister. Protect, sustain all of us. For we pray and ask this through Jesus Christ the Lord, who taught us to say, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come. Amen.
As we set the tone for this week's conference, it shows that we are alive. And this is a sign and mime done by Comrade Sandyfield Kelman.
Good night. I ain't hear nobody. Good night. Yes. As the song states, I'm alive. We're alive. The Barbados Labour Party is alive. The Barbados Labour Party is alive in St. John. I'm Antoine Williams, and tonight, as we enjoy the company of each other, we will be sharing with you, of course, and saluting our special honorees. My co-host is Kimberly Padmore.
Hello, good night, everyone. And it feels so good to be a part of such a memorable moment that happens every year. You agree? Y'all in agree? Y'all agree? All right, all right.
So tonight I want to acknowledge, if you allow me, to acknowledge the presence of the party chairman, Comrade George. We acknowledge you. We also want to acknowledge the General Secretary of the Barbados Labour Party, Comrade Senator Dr. Jerome Walcott. The distinguished officers and members, our special honorees, all of you who are here, I certainly would want to welcome you to our 80th anniversary conference. Tonight is about celebration. Tonight is about saluting those who have made a considerable contribution to the Barbados Labour Party. And so we are here, and so we will enjoy as we prepare for a full weekend of business and pleasure, of course, reminiscing and looking forward to the future. Let's give ourselves a round of applause. We also want to acknowledge the performance of the Israel Lovell Foundation, drummers and dancers. And of course, that was a riveting performance, and it certainly set the tone. While I speak of setting the tone, we must remember that as a family, we must make note of those who have passed, our fallen soldiers. And so I invite you now to kindly stand as we acknowledge a moment's silence in memory and recognition of those who have passed, those members of our party who have also contributed in so many ways. Thank you very much. Kindly be seated. I now invite our Conference Arrangement Committee Chairman, Comrade Kurt Haynes, to offer the official welcome remarks.
Good evening, everyone. Happy 80th anniversary. On behalf of the 2018 Conference Arrangements Committee, I welcome once again the opportunity to extend greetings to our party chairman, the General Secretary, members of the executive, members of National Council, all delegates, comrades, awardees, and friends to the Lodge School on the occasion of our 80th annual conference. It is the first time that the Barbados Labour Party is holding such a conference in St. John. And Charles Griffith, I regard it as a unique pleasure, long deferred. I wish to send heartiest congratulations to our comrade leader, Mia Moore-Motley. She is on site, but she has a few meetings to wrap up first, and she didn't want to disturb the proceedings, so she'll come as soon as those are wrapped up. So I want to send congratulations to her on a massive victory, a resounding 30-love election victory. I share the pride and honor that all members and well-wishers must feel in recognizing that this was the single largest electoral effort and triumph in the entire history of our country. To see the fruits of collective labor blossom in the form of a clean sweep was indeed satisfying. Comrades, it is beyond question that stewardship of the Barbados Labour Party has always been guided by a solemn pledge to bring honor through unfailing duty to the people of Barbados. We are the party which has responded ably and honorably to this country's call to duty, both in and out of government. Over our 80-year history, we can stand proud of a legacy of putting Barbados first. Similar to the 1930s, the 1970s, the 1990s, and early 2000s, we must again embark on a great work. Make no mistake, it will not be easy. It is therefore for all of us, as committed Barbados Labour Party members and loyal citizens of Barbados, to put our hands to the wheel and our shoulders to the plow. This general conference of our great party represents an annual high point in the life of this organization. It is my hope that this conference will give a greater voice to our achievements because, to be honest, we don't talk about the things that we do. It will show the direction which this political organization will be following and further outline the objectives and strategies of the new Mayor Motley-led administration. As such, this conference is well placed to have a profound influence on the affairs of our party and of our country. In this regard, I urge delegates to adopt an approach to the deliberations and engagement over the weekend, which will indicate their recognition of its national significance. I wish you a successful, productive, and inspiring conference, and I thank you for placing your confidence in the committee for a second time. Please know that your support is noted and very much appreciated. I would ask you to indulge me while I give a personal message to the members of my committee. Okay, members of the Conference Arrangements Committee. Working with me was not easy. I have very high standards, and you guys rose to the occasion. Our mantra was strive always for excellence, and I am proud to say we have. May I have a round of applause for the committee, please? Watching this effort manifest, particularly in the service of our family, warmed my heart. I must highlight the contributions of my subcommittee members, the conference secretary, Beverly Gibbons, and the editor of the magazine, Mr. Davidson Ishmael. You demonstrated leadership, creativity, commitment, and tenacity. Thank you to the political leader, Chairman George Payne, Jerome Walker, the General Secretary, and the National Council, and all constituencies for putting your trust in us. So thank you, and I hope you enjoy the night. Congratulations to all awardees.
Chairman of the Conference Arrangements Committee, Comrade Kirk Haynes. Let's give Kirk a round of applause as he led the troops, ensuring that this conference this weekend is a success. I invite now our party chairman to offer his remarks, and please, let's welcome him, Comrade George Payne.
Good night. Master of Ceremonies, Madam Prime Minister, the Honorable Mayor Amora Motley, President of the Senate, Honorable Sir Richard Cheltenham, His Honor the Speaker, Mr. Arthur Holder, fellow ministers and members of Parliament, officers and members of the National Council, former cabinet ministers of the Barbados Labour Party. I think I saw Sir Henry Ford and my good friend, who I refer to as my man-in-law, Mr. Delisle Bradshaw, I'm not so sure who else from that old cabinet is here, but those of you who are here, I welcome you, members and supporters of the Barbados Labour Party, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. 1 year ago, at the 79th annual conference, I dared to make the presumptuous and bold prediction that the Barbados Labour Party would win all 30 seats in the House of Assembly whenever the election was called. I told you then that the emphasis would be on 4 strategic seats, namely St. Lucie, St. John, St. Michael South, and St. Michael Northwest. And that their victory in these 4 constituencies would be the catalyst for success in the remaining 26 seats. Give us 4, and we will earn the rest, was my theme throughout the campaign. The electorate of Barbados on the 24th of May 2018 did just that. It is therefore with a deep sense of pride as chairman of the Barbados Labour Party that I welcome you to the 80th annual conference of this great party in this successful election year. I believe our founding fathers are smiling with glee from their lofty perches in heaven. In a sense, we have probably exceeded not only their wildest expectations, but also the visionary goals they set for us when this great party was established in 1937. Not only did we create history by winning all 30 seats, but in doing so, ensured the highest number of women elected in a single general election. Marsha Cadell, Sandra Husbands, Sonia Brown joined Cynthia Ford, Sanchia Bradshaw, and Mia Motley into our August chambers. This occurring in the year that we celebrate the 100th anniversary of the birth of Dame Ermie Bourne, the first female to be elected to the House of Assembly, is indeed a remarkable achievement. The comprehensive victory of Charles Griffith in this constituency has informed the holding of this annual conference here at the law school. But more importantly, the elevation of the Honorable Mayor Amor Motley as the first female Prime Minister is indeed the crowning achievement. She brought to the campaign a level of professionalism that I had never experienced in my previous 7 campaigns since 1981. It was as if we were all thrust in a wholesome family exercise for a spiritual rendezvous. That same level of professionalism and commitment which he exhibited throughout the campaign has continued unabated since our victory at the polls. Her caring nature has led her to be consumed with a determination to ensure that all the promises she gave to the people of Barbados during the election campaign are fulfilled. Hence, the sleepless nights and endless meetings to meet deadlines have now become the norm for all of us. But if her election to the highest office in the land is one of joy and happiness, warranting celebration, The state in which the wicked Democratic Labour Party government left this country on the 24th of May 2018 is a tale of sadness that has left us all in tears. It is analogous to the chronicles of the early Roman Empire, when states and cities were plundered and pillaged by corrupt, nepotistic dictators on the eve of an impending coup d'etat. The premature renewal of contracts, the appointment of incompetent functionaries, the mysterious invoicing and exorbitant payments to professional associates, the free allocation of housing to lackeys, the illegal award of contracts to underlings, the victimization of opposition supporters and their relatives, the shredding and disappearance of documents and equipment, the rape of the Treasury, all on the eve of a general election, speak for itself. As those who studied law and who are students of Latin, res ipsa loquitur. You could not have given a more resounding mandate to rescue the country, and we have heard you loud and clear. We assure you that we will be relentless in our efforts to gather all relevant evidence to assist in the prosecution of those persons who have put us in this position. The measures that we have to put in place are unavoidable if we are to save the country and the Barbados dollar. We know they will be painful, but we ask you to bear with us and be patient. In the words of Prime Minister Motley, future generations must be able to look back in another 50 years and recognize that true Barbadian patriots took a stand to turn impending disaster into opportunity. I look forward to a successful conference, and I assure you, better days are coming. I thank you.
Thank you so much. Those were great words spoken by our party chairman. Thank you. Mr. Comrade George Payne. Tonight we have a young lady who is one of the youngest authors in Barbados. And she's here tonight to do a piece, a spoken word, which is called We Salute You. Ladies and gentlemen, we introduce Miss LaShawna Griffith.
You, yes, you standing at the back. You may have lifted a chair, you may have shouted at the top of your lungs that you wanted a people's government. You may have opened your home and fed a cat in it after he or she spent a long time canvassing on the road. You may have held a door or swept a floor. Your hands may have gotten tired from holding the cell phone to record a live video. You may have been a hairdresser, nail technician, barber, or tailor. No matter how big or how small you think your role is, we salute you because you helped shape the party's legacy, which emerged from the dawn of slavery and oppression, from the rubble after people said they had enough on July 26, 1937. A party emerged with people's empowerment at its helm, and you helped to shape its journey to 80. And yes, you may have received no money, but now we're on the topic of money, I'd like to talk about a Grant Lee. a man named Sir Grantley Herbert Adams, who may have only played one match of first-class cricket where he was a wicket keeper. But Adams had a firm belief that poor people should not suffer and that women should have a right to vote. He paved the way for all of us to be at a point where we can say we stand on the back of our forefathers who had vision and foresight to implement something when no one else believed in it. He understood that we needed a house to feel safe. And that is why all of us stand in his house at each meeting. We stand in his house and remember his legacy, his hard work and sacrifice. We stand and we remember the son of Fitzherbert Adams, and we remember the first Prime Minister of Barbados. We salute his work for dethroning plantocracy because we understood that master only interest was getting rich off of all of we. So we fought back. We fought because the straw finally broke the camel's back. We stood and we understood the importance of having adequate representation and understood that in order for us to be represented, we must walk hand in hand. So that is why some of us sat and documented the legacy of the founder of our party. Some of us sat and listened carefully to every word and regurgitated it to anyone that would listen. So those of you who are here thinking it's only about those who have been named, it's to all of you whose names are not on history's page, but you are the ink which filled the pen to write the history, as it's not his story, but our story. As together we redefined what our story was and what our legacy shall be. Tom Adams was a man who was no sweetbread. He was even Gabby's muse, but he stood for what he believed in. To believe his name was not Tom. Actually, his name was John Michael Jeffrey McMillan Adams, but his real name was not important, as everyone knew him as Tom. That is the same way that everyone knows all of you. You who would have been campaign managers, standing in the sun and rain, ensuring that your candidate spent less money but remained victorious. You that came out in your numbers at every single political meeting. You who came out at every significant moment of the BLP. You who would have came in your wheelchair to ensure that you heard the manifestos. You that would have offered a word of encouragement or support. We salute you. You are just as important as the great men and women who led our country and who led this party to the brink of development. You may not have been an economist or even an author, as you do not write books, but you know everything ever said about a man who was the representative of St. Peter. To those of you who would have driven a car or even wiped a brow, you could have been named Simeon Belgrave or even Grantley Small. We salute you. For those of you who sat and listened and gave constructive criticism, I can never be seen clucking in your philism. We salute you. For those of you who think that your hard work was in vain and that no one in Barbados knows your name, here is where you are wrong. We have one refrain, which is, we salute you. Thank you. You men and women who have stood the test of time, we salute you. You may not have been able to fry a tasty fish cake like Chester Rock on Garson Savannah. And no, you may not have been a Stratford Allen or Everton Brown or a T-shirt like Jeffrey Cox. But we salute you for your outstanding contribution to your party. Your loss hurt us very deeply. Mr. Cox, we shall never forget you. We salute each of you who would have seconded each person on the branch executive council, who made sure that you held your placards in the hot sun and rain with the 2018 elections. For those of you who followed every candidate, no matter where they went, we salute you for all you did. You are a name in history's page, and you shall be remembered, because you are the persons upon which this party stands. You are the persons who needed us in 1938 and 2018. Your name will forever be marked in the history of the BLP. Just like all of we will always love Wayne Grove Brewster, a staunch supporter and friend of all of we. Look, you did not rock an afro, nor did you love a scarf, but you created history on May 21st because you used your X to signal the spot that a female will rise to be the woman on top, and she will be no other than the Honorable Mia Amor-Motley, who now stands on the back of the vision laid by Sir Grantley Adams, that women have the right to vote, that women are needed in elective politics because they can care. And she has come and created history, first being the first Attorney General in Barbados. But then she clutched the range of power, becoming the first Prime Minister. There's a long road ahead. The going will be tough, but together we can stand tall. After all, this is a people's government whose mission is to serve all of you who believed in us and stuck with us through thick and thin. And tonight, we salute you, each and every one of you, for your relentless work in ensuring that our 80 years is one to smile and reflect upon. That we came out victorious in the last election. We thank you for everything you have done. To all of you, we salute you. Thank you.
Influenced by his history teachers, both in Barbados and Jamaica, Sherwood McCaskey developed a passion for the field of study and remains committed to making the most of its valued objects, qualities, and traditions. A researcher and information specialist by profession, Sherwood merges the two and keenly calls attention to our cultural patrimony through his writings and television programs. For his work in this area, he has been awarded by the Caribbean Broadcasting Union on 3 occasions for having produced and presented the best television documentaries in the Caribbean and Latin America. These documentaries are The Charter of Barbados in 2010, The Monarch Speaks in 2011, and Spikes Down, A Forgotten Treasure in 2014. In the areas of information science and cultural preservation, both audio and visual, Sherwood's tentacles reach as far as Asia, where he regularly lectures and conducts workshops. In the Philippines, as well as in Indonesia. Sherwood has tutored at the Barbados Community College and lectured in Brazil and India. As senior manager at the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation, he assumes direct responsibility for the Archives and Information Department, where he provides guidelines for its management, preservation, and reuse. Sherwood holds a Bachelor of Arts from the University of the West Indies, Mona campus, as well as a Bachelor's of Arts, from the University of the West Indies, Cave Hill campus. Please join me in welcoming my friend and former teacher, Mr. Sherwood McCaskey, to deliver tonight's featured speech.
Thank you very much. You know, I opened the leaflet and I recognized that the Barbados Labour Party has given me a title. I'm now distinguished. Prime Minister of Barbados, the Honorable Mayor Motley, President of the Senate, Sir Richard Cheltenham and Lady Cheltenham, Speaker of the House of Assembly, Arthur Holder, Chairman of the Barbados Labour Party, executive members, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. In fact, a very good Friday evening to all of you and a happy 80th anniversary. Now, there are two jobs to be performed here this evening. Job number one, I am expected to speak. Job number two, you are expected to listen. But there is one major challenge with my job. I must ensure that my job finishes before yours does. Well, perhaps on your way home, some of you will get that one. Well, let me begin with that old familiar phrase, which when used by our primary school teachers many years ago, it gave us reason to lean forward on our little benches and listen attentively. Once upon a time. Or put differently by our modern-day teachers, I shall keep pace with modernity and use the modern-day term, at a time when. So here we go. At a time in Barbados when the entire Anglophone Caribbean was likened to a piece of ignited dynamite, at a time in Barbados when very little had changed since emancipation in 1834, at a time in Barbados when the populace was being forced to endure prolonged periods of appalling conditions such as poor sanitation, low wages, limited access to education, poor housing, malnutrition, and poor health services, at a time in Barbados when there existed very few economic opportunities and there was no legislation to safeguard the rights of workers, at a time in Barbados only when a very small percentage of the population had the right to vote and there was an income qualification before an individual could exercise that right, at a time when all of the above was being experienced in Barbados, something was about to happen that would alter the social, the political, and the physical landscape of Barbados forever and to the benefit of all of us. The period under review here is the second half of the 1930s. The leading news stories in The Advocate and The Observer newspaper are regularly calling attention to the above conditions that are fueling the unrest in Barbados and the Caribbean islands. Yes, the masses are rising up against the conditions described previously. But this is not in isolation. The nation of Belize experienced this in 1934. Attention shifted to the northeastern Caribbean island of St. Kitts in 1935, and right next door to us, both St. Vincent and St. Lucia saw mountain protest action in 1935 also. The action moved then to the northwestern Caribbean, and in the spirit of Nanny of the Maroons, Paul Bogle, and Marcus Garvey, the people of Jamaica rose in protest of the conditions on that island in 1938. While the action there was winding down in Jamaica, the spirit of coffee is filling the people of Guyana as they rose in protest of the conditions there in 1939. Meanwhile, ladies and gentlemen, much chatter and discussion are being detected on the radar of intelligence. The events in the region are being closely monitored by a group of highly conscious political activists of Caribbean origins who were resident in New York City at that time. And after the dreadful assault on the Barbadian population on July 26, 1937, leaving 14 dead, 44 wounded, and 454 arrested, Reginald Pierpoint, a Barbadian-born crusading journalist, employed with the leading African-American newspaper of the day, the Amsterdam News, is promptly organizing the West Indies Defense Committee to solicit relief aid for the victim of the crackdown by the establishment in Barbados. Other leading members of the New York-based West Indies Defense Committee were Richard B. Moore, the outstanding Barbadian socialist, Pan-Africanist, and liberation activist, and Hope R. Stevens, a St. Kitts-born lawyer imbued with a strong socialist, anti-colonialist, and liberationist sensibilities. These men were outstanding representatives of, and they embodied the interlinked progressive dialogue of socialism and Caribbean nationalism and liberation that were spreading throughout the Caribbean at that time. And mindful of the events that led up to the uprising, they conceive of the need for a political party to be established in Barbados to take forward, and I quote, the liberation struggle of the masses in an organized and focused manner. It is against this background, therefore, that the West Indies Defense Committee sent the young Hope Stevens to Barbados in March of 1938 with instructions to meet with Winter Crawford, editor of the progressive, socialist-oriented Barbados Observer newspaper. This, ladies and gentlemen, was the beginning of the crusade of rescuing, restoring, and building Barbados. Hope Stevens described his historic visit to Barbados as follows. Pierpoint had sent me to Crawford. Our day was spent in discussing the way in which the disturbances in the island had developed, their aftermath, and the inquiry made by the Moyne Commission. It was agreed that a discussion of suggestions for some kind of political action would be resumed when I came back on my return trip from British Guyana and Trinidad 2 weeks later. And so, on the evening of my return trip, a group of 8 of us gathered in the dining room of J.A. Martineau. Those present were Martineau, Crawford, Talma, Dr. Peter Payne, John Beckles, Christopher Brathwaite, and Dr. Hugh Gordon Cummins. It was patent that a political climate had developed in the island, and everyone agreed that the time was ripe for action. I proposed that a political party be formed by the 7 members present. I was asked to chair the meeting. By 2 a.m., we had written the constitution of the Barbados Labour Party and elected its officers, Christopher Brathwaite being the first president. The organizers wanted to have as the first vice president a young lawyer, and Grantley Herbert Adams was elected in absentia to that office. He was out of the island on legal business. It is important to note that Martineau, Brathwaite, Cummins were veteran political men who had been key supporters of Dr. Charles Duncan O'Neill and key leaders of the O'Neill Democratic League and Working Men's Association, while John Beckles was one of the major organizers of Marcus Garvey Universal Negro Improvement Association here in Barbados. All of the founding members of the Barbados Labour Party were therefore men whose political soul carried the imprints of Marcus Garvey and his liberation ideology, of Duncan O'Neill and his inspired democratic socialism, and of the deep-seated anti-colonialism and Caribbean regionalism that inspired Richard B. Moore and Reginald Pierpoint. Chrissy Braffett and Dr. Cummins and J.A. Martineau, for example, brought with them O'Neill's profound commitment to the abolition of child labor, the instituting of compulsory education, minimum state guarantee social welfare standards, universal adult suffrage, working class organization in pursuit of economic advancement, and workmen's compensation program to provide pension and sickness benefit. And so, ladies and gentlemen, it was expected that in the aims and objectives which these men drafted for the Barbados Labour Party at that historic March 31st, 1938 meeting would include the intentions to provide, and I quote here, political expression for law-abiding inhabitants of this island, enabling them to participate in the development of democratic institutions, promote the social and economic improvement of its people, and to stimulate on the part of the people an intelligent outlook on social, economic, and political problems. I'm sure this does sound familiar to Minister Sandra Husbands. This is something which she has been promoting in her constituency. Additionally, with Hope Stevens playing a leading role in forging the new organization, it is not surprising that the Barbados Labour Party's original constitution was imbued with a deep commitment to West Indian regionalism as expressed in the party's aims, to endeavour to promote and cooperate with the formation of similar organizations in all parts of the British West Indies. And we will see this exemplified here with the presence of the leader of the People's National Party in Jamaica over the weekend. So, ladies and gentlemen, that historic movement that began on March 31st, 1938 emerged from the disturbances of the 1937 riots and brought about a powerful and peaceful revolution in Barbados. In fact, a well-known historian whose voice and name is today emblazoned in the walls of this educational institution termed it the Quiet Revolution. Let me pause to make the point here that it was Talma who led the way in the acquisition of the Robert Street headquarters, now called Unity House, while Herbert Seal carried out a dynamic membership promotional drive that saw many individuals joining up the party during the ensuing years. Now, immediately following the formation of the party, it set about preparing itself to meet the Royal Commission, which was scheduled to sit on the island in 1939. In this historic appearance, the members, after exposing the horrendous conditions in Barbados, called for 1, the reorganization of the plantation system, 2, universal adult suffrage, the right of both women and men to vote at age 21 with no qualifications whatsoever. The newspapers reported that these members were resolute in their presentation, outlining the grievances of the people. Ladies and gentlemen, even at this early stage, one could deduce from the original goals of the party how its establishment of high principles of political service founded in democracy and supported by integrity laid the groundwork for the great heritage of national self-sufficiency that would seek as its primary objective a better way of life for our people. It is absolutely no secret, ladies and gentlemen, that throughout the closing days of the 1930s, the party continued its shining example of community commitment, calling for decent living wages, a medical service for Barbados, compulsory education, meals for school children, which started with biscuit and powdered milk, then moved to cow's milk, which, in addition to increasing the nutritive benefit, launched the island dairy industry. In 1940, the BLP faced its first election. Its first MPs were Sir Grantley, Dr. Cummins, and Mr. A. Vaughan Gittins, and Mr. Victor Vaughan. 1 year later, it launched the Barbados Workers' Union. I'll repeat that. 1 year later, it was the Barbados Labour Party that launched the Barbados Workers' Union on October the 4th, 1941. Thus, the party was shining even stronger for the future good of our country by virtue of the role of the union and the party, one to promote solidarity among the workers forever, and the other to promote political change in the House of Assembly. With Adams on the Governor in Executive Committee, a number of new and important measures were passed into law. The franchise qualifying a Barbadian to vote in general election was lowered from someone having £50 a year to £20. The ramification of the lowering of that franchise was apparent in the 1944 elections, which saw the party winning 8 seats, a victory for the voters as much as for the party, for this represented wider participation in the democratic process for a people who 6 years before were seen storming the streets in search of far less recognition than what the Barbados Labour Party had won for them. During this period, we saw the amendments to the Barbados Education Act, which made for the modernization of the education system and improved facilities at many schools. Adams and Springer were later appointed to the policy-making executive on this crucially important body. Ladies and gentlemen, the cries of the party for progress were being transformed into an all too welcome reality for the long ignored poor. During this period, we also saw the start of the construction of the Urdeston Teachers Training College, which was eventually opened in 1948. May I have the first clip, please?
Faces all countries is the recruitment and training of teachers to meet today's educational demands. Urdeston Teachers Training College, established in 1948, not only fulfills local needs, but also assists in training teachers from neighboring territories.
Of the Workmen's Compensation Act, which has been passed in the early 1940s, but did not come into force until then. Attention was also engaged in tackling the increased old age pension and instituting improved working conditions for shop assistants. The Bush experiment in 1946, by which 4 members of the House would be elected to the executive, was the forerunner of the modern constitutional procedure in Barbados. In 1948, it won a majority of 2 in the House of Assembly, Grantley Adams and Hugh Springer for the BLP, and Hugh Blackman and Winter Crawford for the Congress Party. They were appointed members of the Executive Committee. In May of 1949, members of Parliament, uncompensated for so long periods, were paid for their services for the first time at a salary of $80 a month. In 1951 election, with adult suffrage having been introduced the previous year, the Barbados Labour Party won 15 of the 17 seats which it contested, while achieving a significant first by returning Edna Boring, now the late Dame Ermy Boring, as the first female to enter the House of Assembly as an elective representative. Grantley Adams, Dr. Hugh Cummins, Mincia Cox, and Frank Walcott were appointed members of the Executive Committee after that 1951 election. Interestingly enough, Dr. Springer chronicled her life and experiences and presented that to us in a lecture in August of this year. Dr. Springer's presentation will soon be shared with all via local TV. In 1954, Grantley Adams became the first Premier of Barbados. Another major achievement of that year was the creation of the Barbados Development Board, established to lend money to business interests for their development, and the impact of that was phenomenal. Legislation including the Protection of Wages Act, which was a vital piece of social legislation that directed how workers should and should not be paid, the Shop Assistant Act, and the Revolutionary Labor Clause and Contract Act were finally passed. For the first time, Barbados had a 5-year development plan. It is commonplace now, but virtually it was unknown then. The Infrastructure and Capital Development Program included the establishment of health centers in Speightstown, which is now the Arlington House Museum, and Inmore in St. Michael. Community centers and playing fields in St. Michael, St. Thomas, St. Joseph, St. Lucie, Christchurch, St. Andrew, and St. John were all constructed. A network of public conveniences, a welcome sanitary innovation, that was the construction of public bathroom facilities in communities all across Barbados. 5 new district post offices and a new fire station were constructed. So too was the headquarters building for the Regional Police Training Center at Paragon in Christchurch. During this period, there was also the construction of the buildings for the Highways and Transport, the Public Works Department, as well as government headquarters on Bay Street. In addition to much-needed housing estates were constructed in 7 parishes, beginning with Goodland Housing Area in St. Michael. And so with an unprecedented record of achievements in all areas as a guiding light for voters who had benefited from those bright achievements, the Barbados Labour Party, not surprisingly, managed to win 15 of the 24 seats in the 1956 elections. The 5 years from 1956 could be summed up as diversification, consolidation, and expansion. The party's political progress was illumined by the quality of its legislation. By the end of the term, there were, among others, the Factories Act, the Displaced Workers Act, and the legislation ending discrimination. All of these ensure the fundamental rights of the workers, in particular the 1957 piece of legislation that outlawed racial discrimination in Barbados, and this set Barbados apart from the breeding grounds of racial unrest. Sugar in the 1950s already showed signs of unpredictability, and the party moved to put Barbados on a firm footing. Again, its foresight was demonstrated when it provided loans for our tourist board and declared 47 enterprises as pioneer industries. Some of you might recall that Banks Brewery was among that 47. Through the Development Board, an industrial estate was established at Grisex in St. Michael, as well as a clay factory erected in St. Andrew. But above all of these achievements, may be said to have been overshadowed by the construction of Water Harbor, which further put Barbados on the map and provided jobs for hundreds of Barbadians. Clip 2.
Single construction project ever undertaken in Barbados was the deep water harbor at the new port of Bridgetown. Work on the harbor started on August the 10th, 1957, by Richard Costain Limited, under the supervision of Messrs. Cood and Partners Consulting Engineers. Stone for the construction of the harbor was quarried at Bagatelle, about 7 miles out of Bridgetown. As the harbor was dredged to a depth of 32 feet, enough for the accommodation of the largest vessels on regular call to Barbados, 90 acres of land were reclaimed. In less than 2 years, and 5 weeks ahead of schedule, the quay wall was completed, due mainly to the high degree of skill and adaptability of our local labor force. On the 6th of May, 1961, Sir Gartley Adams, the Prime Minister of the West Indies, officially opened the port of Bridgetown. For Sir Grantley Adams, formerly Premier of Barbados and the first Prime Minister of the Federation of the West Indies, here was a dream come true. Sir Grantley was foremost among those who regarded a deep water harbour as essential to the economic advancement of Barbados. It was therefore fitting that to this man should go the honour of declaring the new harbour open.
The Sewell Airport, the paving of the grass strip used as the runway, as well as its later expansion for jet usage, and the construction of a terminal building to replace the shed brought further trade and established a springboard for tourism development in Barbados. Clip 3.
This is the new terminal building at Sewell Airport, erected at a cost of $400,000. The building was designed by the government architect and its construction carried out by local craftsmen of the Public Works Department. Aircraft of the big airline companies touch down at Sewell on regular schedule. Increased traffic between Barbados and neighboring countries and a trade resulting from the boost given to tourism more than justify the extension program at the airport. The old 7,000-foot runway has been extended to accommodate the biggest jet aircraft operating through Sewell.
And played important roles in the development of the island and continues to do so today. Number 4.
Work on a new $6 million, 500-bed hospital at Stockton began in September 1959. When completed, the new hospital will be amongst the most modern and best equipped in the West Indies.
Electricity installed by 1958, the West Indies Federation, conceptualized decades ago, became a political reality for the region. At its election, the Barbados Labour Party won 4 of the 5 seats in the House of Representatives in the federal parliament. The candidates were Sir Grantley, Sir Dighton Ward, Victor Vaughan, and Gilmore Rochford. In addition, Sir Archibald Cute and Dr. Cato, Sir Arnott Cato, were appointed to represent Barbados in the Senate. On Sir Grantley becoming Prime Minister of the West Indies Federation, Dr. Hugh Gordon Cummins succeeded him as the second Premier of Barbados. The West Indies Federation was dissolved on May 31st, 1962, and Sir Grantley Adams returned to Barbados on June 3rd. Backtrack now to 1959. Cabinet responsibility is instituted as the party further reorganized the machinery of government to maximize efficiency. As the 1950s fade into history, the Barbados Labour Party pursued its far-sighted educational goals. In despair of higher education, the party approached Professor Andrew Lewis, who was at the time principal of the University of the West Indies, and asked that Barbados be granted a faculty for education in the same way that Trinidad had the faculty of agriculture. Professor Lewis approved, and thus was the concept for the University of the West Indies Cape Hill campus established by the party. And negotiations were underway for the purchase of the land when the Barbados Labour Party lost the government. In an effort to bring educational opportunities to every Barbadian child, primary and secondary schools were expanded island-wide. Between 1954 and 1966, a sum total of $5 million was spent on buildings and a further $1 million devoted to schools. By 1961, the government of the BLP had constructed the Coleridge Parish School, the Combermere School, expanded the Christchurch Foundation School, the Allen School, the Lodge School, and by creating Princess Margaret, St. Leonard's, and West St. Joseph, it pioneered co-education and set the stage for free education. Clip number 5.
For a high standard of literacy among its people. The school building program involved an expenditure of $2.5 million during the planned period, $1,860,000 towards the construction of new schools, and $662,000 on the extension of existing schools. 5 secondary modern schools were established at a cost of $516,000, providing over 4,000 places.
To examine the progress of what was happening under the government. They were so pleased with what they saw, they termed their documentary In Step with Barbados, and I thought that this was perhaps the best way to sum up that period. Clip number 6.
Progress has been made on every hand. In agriculture, in health and education, in housing and social services, in trade and industry, in communications and transport, Barbados moves on along the highway of progress.
One of those who kept alive the party's watchfire of political awareness was the then young barrister at law Bernard St. John, who in 1964, at the age of 32, was elevated to the Senate. On every issue affecting the country, young Sir Harold showed that the Barbados Labour Party was not going to be content to sit back and be trampled on. He did all he could to ensure that the achievements of the preceding years were not eroded. Time and time again, to the embarrassment of those on the government side, his contribution proved irrefutable in the Senate, and that is where he started to write his name on the political pages of our history. He was a talent to watch and a debater to listen to and to respect. Sir Harold gave sterling presentation in the Upper House and was outspoken on every issue before his fellow senators. Earlier this year, Sir Richard Cheltenham chronicled the life and work of Sir Harold. That too will be shared with you via television shortly. In 1966, Sir Harold emerged as senior member of the Double Member constituency. In the House of Parliament, the party brought tremendous pressure to bear on the government, introducing over 300 questions and resolutions. The public was treated to dazzling marathon speeches, significantly from Tom Adams and Bree St. John, who answered the government on all counts while putting forward attractive alternative proposals. The 1970s proved to be an eventful period for the Barbados Labour Party. During this time, the party called for an official investigation into the abuse of office by the then Minister of Housing, who shall remain unnamed. In years to come, the Hanshell Commission of Inquiry would prove the party right. Sir Harold lost his seat in the general election of 1971, and the party nominated a new political leader, Tom Adams. And Tom became keeper of the flame set alight by his father 33 years earlier. The year ended on a sad note for the party with the death of Grantley Adams on November 28th. But out of the defeat and tragic loss would shine the same dauntless spirit that had led to the founding of the party with its symbolic beacon of hope. Here comes the oil crisis of the 1970s. In seeking to offset soaring oil prices, it was reported that the government, and of course the government was not the BLP government, it was reported that the government imposed major taxes while unemployment rose and purchasing power was daily eroded by its policy of price control. The Auditor General's alarming revelation about the accounts of the Housing Authority left no doubt that the BLP had taken the correct stance in the 1970s concerning improprieties and the abuse of office in the area. But despite repeated calls for an official inquiry, government refused to undertake one. Doesn't that sound familiar? You know, they say history repeats itself, but history doesn't repeat itself. Man repeats history. This sounds oh so familiar. And this was not all, ladies and gentlemen. Opposition leader Tom Adams found it impossible to convene a meeting of the Public Accounts Committee, the watchdog of the country's financial affairs. The then government had 4 members on this body, and they failed to turn up as against the 3 from the Barbados Labour Party. And as one writer reported, with scant respect for the Constitution, they made a mere mockery of this virtually parliamentary check-in mechanism. Doesn't that sound familiar? But there was more, people. The Auditor General, who had brought into the open the perilous state of housing, now had to complain on numerous occasions about improper facilities, insufficient officers, various reports behind schedule, and the total non-preparation of other documents. You know, strange things happened that left a question mark in the minds of the public. The books of the Sanitation and Cemetery Board were destroyed in a fire. Mysterious loans were made from various organizations, but to whom? For how much and for what purpose? Apparently no one knew or had no way of finding out. All over the island there was uncertainty, inflation, high unemployment, and above all, what was described as another writer as arrogance of the government. In the face of all wrongs, making friendship deals and of course making unremitting efforts to muzzle the opposition. Man repeats history. And so the time came for elections. The Barbados Labour Party, headed by Tom Adams, put forward a manifesto outlining plans in all areas, literally overshadowing what was regarded as unimaginative and foreign printed document. The then government offered nothing new but asked for a return to power based on past performances. A reminder which doubtless helped cause the people to oust them disdainfully. And so on that memorable day in September 1976, the party won 17 of the 24 seats, and Tom Adams became the Prime Minister of Barbados. He selected his cabinet, and among those selected and given ministerial responsibility was Dame Billy Miller, the first female to hold such a position in Barbados. Ladies and gentlemen, while the change in the administration was widely welcome, the party could not select a more difficult period in which to carry on the legacy of its achievements for the people. It was reported that the party had inherited a nation sorely in need of wise leadership, with an economy ravished by inflation and financial folly, a disintegrating infrastructure, and with almost every sector ailing a demoralized country that 15 years earlier had basked strongly in the glow of the party's guiding beacon. But with Tom Adams at the helm, like his father before him, supported by some of the finest brains in the Caribbean, the party set about its task of national rehabilitation in the form of open government and honesty to steer Barbados back on a straight course and out of the political sea of despair. The Ministry of Finance and Planning laid the foundation for the revival of the economy and an improved standard of living. Even the most optimistic BLP member and supporter could not have predicted the success of the party in the period 1976 to 1981, a term of unprecedented prosperity for Barbadians, abundant with capital development, social programs, important legislation, and open respect in the Caribbean and throughout the developing world. Barbados became the praise of the developed world. Literally, it was an electrifying transformation. Roads were built, pension increased, schools expanded, jobs created, unemployment and inflation cut drastically. Tourism boosted, sugar and agriculture production improved. In fact, under skillful management, every sector in Barbados picked up. The BLP of the 1970s pioneered important new rights for Barbadian women. In December 1977, the Department of Women's Affairs was created and served as the Secretariat of the Barbados Labour Party's government trailblazing National Commission on the Status of Women. The party also introduced important amendments to the Succession Act and piloted into the statute books of Barbados the Children's Act, the Maintenance Act, and the Family Law Act. Once again, faith is restored in Barbados. The BLP's efficient management of the island's resources brought more business to the island, great praise from the international institutions, and more prosperity to our people. Some 25,000 jobs were created by the expansion of the public and private sector through a major capital works program. Taxation revisions by the Finance Ministry included the granting of tax credit to those earning $6,000 or less per year, and the innovative steps of separate assessments for working wives. The level of Barbadian taxable income was raised from $25 per week to $115 per week. Tax claims for insurance premiums were made bigger. New areas of tax relief introduced by such things as solar heating and a burdensome 5% sales tax was removed as pledged. Further measures to stimulate the weakened economy show themselves in the area of trade and industry. More than 50 companies were established during this period, and handicraft production was stimulated, with some 1,000 individuals being trained in the area. The government also established a number of joint ventures, notably Carry Cargo with Trinidad and Tobago, which proved outstanding. Tourism arrival peaked from 225,000 in 1976 to 370,000 by the end of 1980, with visitors bringing in $550 million to our shores. Government took steps to stimulate this sector. It unveiled the new Grantley Adams International Airport Terminal costing over $28 million. It commenced construction of the $60 million Haywards Holiday Village in St. Peter. During this period, the Barbados Labour Party government also moved to safeguard the natural beauty of Barbados by restricting buildings in certain areas. The BLP upgraded and maintained beach facilities and completed the $4 million Harrison's Cave. To ensure that all aspects of the development of our young people were met, the government established a division of culture which assisted in the promotion of a number of local shows and sponsored cultural events from France, Senegal, Nigeria, Jamaica, and Venezuela. Its efforts in this area were, of course, crowned by the hosting of Cari Festa in 1981, a good example of the hosting of Cari Festa, by the way. This brought together artists from throughout the region. Later, by an act of parliament in March 1983, the BLP's government established the National Cultural Foundation, which is perhaps one of the boldest steps taken in Barbados to recognize and celebrate the identity of our people. In respect to community development and sports, Tom Adams' BLP government took up from where Grantley Adams' BLP government had left off 15 years before. In the period of 1976 to 1981, 15 all-purpose hard courts were built, including 4 at Deacon Sports Complex and 2 each in Welchman Hall, St. Thomas. More than 1,200 homes were built nationwide in the first 5-year term. In fact, not only were hundreds of units built, but their designs were improved and the areas well landscaped. New projects included 53 bedroom units at Rosemont, 64 terrace units at Bonnex, while projects were started at St. Cecilia's in the city, including a $4 million project to house 325 individuals. 55 homes were constructed at West Terrace on the 43 acres of land, a $3 million project at Lamens in St. Joseph, 64 units at Maynards in St. Peter, and 45 units at 6 Crossroads in St. Philip. Government also undertook massive resiting, moving people from areas not conducive to housing to better sites where the infrastructure was provided. At a place like Springhead in St. James, people receive running water and electricity in their homes for the first time. Additionally, government stimulated the construction of private homes by raising the mortgage ceiling a number of times and giving liberal tax deduction for such things as the installation of energy-saving solar water heaters. A new post office was constructed in St. Thomas, and work began on the construction of a central post office on the site at Cheapside to replace the operations from the Parliament building. Major road work was undertaken, but more importantly, the brave government started a program which I regard as the defining colonial roadways, beginning with the Spring Garden Highway. Clip.
This road is only a part of the new highway system which the government is planning for Barbados over the next 5 years. We have commenced the procedures for 2 new highways, one from Highgate Hall to Warrens and then from Warrens to Blackrock to link up with this road itself when it is completed, and another highway from Wildy via Newton Industrial Park to the airport to provide better access to present industrial development areas at Newton and at Grantley Adams Airport. The Wildy to Blackrock Road, which will take in the portion of the road from Upton past the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation and the Polytechnic and so on, and which is being built as part of the contract to build the Spring Garden Road, will be extended to Warrens and eventually to Blackrock, so as to provide a northern circular access route around Bridgetown to link together the industrial areas that have grown up in such places as Warrens and are expected to grow up along the Spring Garden Road itself. They will also have a beneficial effect in easing traffic conditions and make it easier for people who live in the newly developing areas in St. James South and in Cave Hill to get to Bridgetown.
I've been given the cue, I have to wrap it up. Okay, I'll jump to the conclusion. So why did I stand here and deconstruct history? What is the point in all of this? A very good understanding of the past is always the launching pass for the future. Value is added to history when we can locate the history in today's present. Now, when the foundation is solid, there's no need for you to destroy and rebuild. You simply lay the blocks on that already firm foundation. The point being made here, and the message which I wish that you would carry away this evening, is a lesson taught to us by the best teacher, and that teacher, of course, is history. History teaches us that the story of the Barbados Labour Party is a story of love. And love seeks out the highest good of another individual and work towards achieving it. Love requires that you are prepared to make the necessary sacrifice to achieve that goal. Back in the 1930s, a group of concerned individuals touched by the inhumane conditions that the people were forced to endure felt compelled that it was their duty and responsibility to fight the good fight with all their might on behalf of the powerless people of Barbados. The country was unwell, the country was sick. They laid down their talents and resources at the altar of Barbados and allowed those talents and resources to be used in whatever way they saw fit. The conditions might not be the same as those of 1937, but in some way, this country needs all of you, more than ever. So just as Sir Grantley Adams and Hugh Gordon Cummins and the comrades and those individuals who paid a debt which they did not owe so that you could enjoy the fruits of their labor, the onus is now on you to prepare to make that sacrifice so that those coming after you could enjoy a better Barbados than which was handed to you earlier this year. As a political party, you need to understand your role and accept that role. It has been shown in Barbados that the people of Barbados call on you in times of need. It would seem as if your established role is always that of rescuing, restoring, and rebuilding Barbados. Interestingly enough, in the early 1980s, at another conference, Shirley Chisholm happened to be the guest speaker, Shirley Chisholm on Bot and on Boss, and she made the point. A time will come when the people of this island will call on you like never before to rescue them. Perhaps that time came early this year. Ladies and gentlemen, now is not the time to rush to the table for your slice of the 80th anniversary cake. Now is not the time to rush to the table with your champagne glass. This is not the time for that type of celebration. You do not have the luxury of eating cake. Now is the time to follow the example of your foremothers and forefathers and identify the highest good of this nation and work to make that a reality and so leave this island a better place for those who will come after you. Happy anniversary.
Thank you very much. It's important to know where we've come from, know where we are, and more importantly, where we're going. And so we thank you, Sherwood, for taking us on that journey as we salute 80 years. I invite you to remain, Sherwood, and I invite now our General Secretary, Comrade Jerome, could you come forward and to make this presentation. The presentation of awards let us enjoy the dance of the rumba, a dance that can only be described as seductive, flirtatious, sensual, and in true Bajan terms, saucy. So we welcome now Romel Leider and Ambia Paris to offer us this performance. Thank you very much. The dance of the rumba is offered by Ambia Paris and Romel Leider. And now, the president. by as you make the presentations. Our first awardee became a member of the BLP in 1976, and in 1994 served as Vice President for the St. Michael North West Branch. He's an active member from the time he joined the party. In 1978, then General Secretary George Griffith asked him to run the bar at BLP headquarters, and in 1994 he had the sole responsibility of cooking the food, a very essential part of the 1994 general elections. But of course he readily accepted the offer, as this was an opportunity for him to serve the party and of course to introduce the members to his culinary skills. He worked in Parliament for 9 years, and in 1978 to 1984 he organized social events at the BLP headquarters. We will salute him. We will salute him for his loyalty and commitment as a member of the Barbados Labour Party and the St. Michael Northwest Branch. And so tonight, we salute Raul Randolph Archer. St. Michael West Central, my apologies. Congratulations to you. Our next awardee is a vital member of the St. Michael Northeast family. He's the jack of all trades, the call me at any time, the will not say no, the go-to person of this branch. When there's a task to be done, one can call him and he's at home, and if he's at home, he will arrive in minutes. He does not even have to be called. It just seems as though he knows that something needs to be done at the branch. This diligent, loyal, and patriotic gentleman who has offered his services to the branch also assists in the community as a member of the Red Cross and the Department of Emergency Management. He lives by the mantra, I come to serve, not to be served. And so, for his unwavering dedication to the branch and to the Barbados Labour Party, tonight we salute and offer the St. Michael Northeast Constituency Award to Michael Carrington. Congratulations to you. Our next awardee, as we turn our attention now to St. Michael North in the house, has been an avid supporter of the Barbados Labour Party for all of her life. She came from a family of bees and decided that she could do no different. In the 1960s, she officially became a member, and she's never turned back. She's not as mobile as she used to be, therefore she's not able to attend meetings and events as she would like. However, she still maintains contact with her representative and, of course, members of the branch. At 81 years, she makes it her business to attend church and, without exception, the Barbados Labour Party's annual conference every year. The Stalwart Award is presented to Ernesta Collymore in recognition of her dedication and commitment to the Barbados Labour Party and the St. Michael North Branch. "81 years. Congratulations to her. Still in the Central Zone, our next awardee is a proud member of the Barbados Labour Party. Her personal life story is testament of her resilience and positive outlook, and this has also endeared her to the constituents of St. Michael West and the family of the Barbados Labour Party. She became a member of the BLP while vying for the post of floor member in the constituency of St. Michael West, a position which she still holds to this day. She loves helping people, especially the disadvantaged, and her goals are to see the homeless housed and hungry fed. Tonight, we will salute her. Tonight, we salute Geralda Marva Lashley Todd. Our next recipient was nurtured by strong supporters of the Barbados Labour Party. And at a tender age, he recalls conversations in his home about the BLP being the party for the people. And at age 17, he was too young to participate in general elections, in which Rudy Grant carried the banner for the Barbados Labour Party. However, in 2010, he met his now mentor, Comrade Arthur Holder, who took him under his wings, showing him the ins and outs of elective politics. Well, of course, according to Greg, it is his intention to continue encouraging the youth of his constituency and indeed those across the length and breadth of this nation. His contribution to St. Michael's South Central is noted, and tonight he is proudly saluted. Let's welcome Comrade Greg Mahon. And now we go to St. Michael South Central. And so we recognize one who joined the Barbados Labour Party 2 years ago and since then has distinguished himself as a committed and loyal worker. He served as a polling district captain in his area, on his management team during the election campaign, and currently sits on the constituency's branch's executive president as president. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we recognize Dr. Abdul Mohammed. In his absence, Mr. Wayne Yearwood will accept the award. Skillet. Yo. You know, when I said Wayne Yearwood, I didn't know it was him, you know. I only know him as Skillet. You see how your name gets attached to you? Like everybody know me as Brother Daddy. Our next recipient now, as we go to St. Michael's South. And this individual has been a member of the Barbados Labour Party for over 2 decades. And she has given unfailing support to the various MPs of St. Michael's South. The ultimate show of support for a candidate was when she opened her doors to allow then-candidate Kurt Humphrey access to her home before he opened his constituency office. By extension, her family welcomed him and Team Kurt into her home, and it became the unofficial constituency office. She can be considered a community practitioner and has worked on a number of community initiatives and has been instrumental in the success Team Kirk has achieved thus far. Member of Parliament Kurt Humphrey and Team Kirk are very proud of her achievements and fully support her as the St. Michael South Constituency Awardee for 2018. Ladies and gentlemen, comrades, Gail Peters. Our next awardee resides in the constituency of St. Michael Northwest. All All right then. Present and counted for. Her first vote was cast for the Barbados Labour Party in the year 1998, and that has been the case for each general election from then until now. She has also worked as a polling agent and canvasser for the party throughout the years under candidate Dr. Clyde Maskell, Gregory Nichols, and the current Member of Parliament for that constituency, the Honourable Neil Rowe. Her passion for politics and her stewardship in the constituency has not gone unnoticed. In her words, I am prepared to work twice as hard to bring stable conditions back to this country. Tonight we salute her. We salute Stalwart, Rosalind Turton Corbin, as a member of the Barbados Labour Party and as a member of St. Michael Northwest Branch. Our next awardee, ladies and gentlemen, we go to the constituency St. Michael East. Another individual who have showed yeoman service to the Barbados Labour Party. And when we chronicle his involvement, it speaks of dedication, it speaks of commitment, it speaks of stewardship, it speaks of loyalty to the party, and by extension, the St. Michael East branch. And so tonight, we acknowledge him and we recognize the work and contribution of Keith Weeks. All right, Keith, congrats. Our next award, as we go to St. Michael Southeast, goes to a deserving individual, a community-minded stalwart better known as Big Mark or Big Drake. He's not only well known in the neighborhood of Haggett Hall, but in the surrounding areas of Howells Crossroads, also the Ivy, for a number of years. He became a member of the Barbados Labour Party back in 1976. When he canvassed for then-candidate Delal Bradshaw. He has continued to be an integral member of the constituency and operates efficiently as a key canvasser, playing an equal role canvassing for both Santia Bradshaw and Trevor Prescott. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we recognize him. We recognize the fact that the amputation of his leg is no deterrent to this loyal, hard-working supporter, and by extension, a member of the Barbados Labour Party and St. Michael Southeast. Let's salute him. Let's salute Big Mark. Let's salute Anthony Williams, his loyal service and contribution to the Barbados Labour Party for the past 42 years. Those are the recipients in the Central Zone. We congratulate all of them. We salute them for their hard work and their continued stewardship to the Barbados Labour Party. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Comrade Cynthia Ford. Thank you. And now we turn our attention to the Southern Zone. I invite Comrade Edmund Hinkson to please come to the stage.
Thank you so much. As we left St. Michael, now we go to the area of Christ Church. Starting off is Mr. Charles Crazy Bourne, has been in and around politics for most of his life, from as early as 1975 until this present time. His address is Bartlett's Tenantry, Sergeant's Village, Christchurch. He describes himself as a man who is not afraid to say what he wants to say. He would have supported BLP's personality such as Hudson Linton, Louis Towles, Stuart Edgehill, Maria Agard, and Williams Dugard. He offers his services for public announcement for any candidate who needs those services. He is also willing and helps to set up meetings to make sure all is in order prior to the arrival of the entourage. His favorite area is the advertising of the event and speaking at meetings. He recalls every day they had to speak every word. Now things are much better and easier since they can be pre-recorded. He loves going out into the community and getting everything ready for election day. Mr. Charles Bourne is the nominee for the Constituency Award. Ladies and gentlemen, join us as we applaud Comrade Charles Bourne. Watch him go. Yes. Beryl Bridgman has been a member of the party for several decades. Bridgie, as she is officially called, is a true BLP member. She has genuinely strong love for politics and the Barbados Labour Party. She is well respected among her peers and can often be heard giving advice to the younger ladies of the party. Despite her age, Bridgie can often be seen amongst the young people of the party, and she's usually greeted with hugs and kisses. Sometimes you might hear one of the young men saying to the other, "Wait, what are you doing hugging her? Come, Bridgie." She loves to socialize and probably has never missed an event hosted by the party and indeed the Women League. She is usually the first to offer assistance to the league, either in cash or in kind. The executive of Women's League support Miss Beryl Bridgman as the 2018 awardee. Look at her. Beautiful, beautiful. Yes. The awardee for this year is Mr. Eddie Cadogan. Is a long-standing member of the branch who has served on the committee as a floor member. He is very hard worker and fully committed to the party of his objectives. Ever humble, he's not one for long citations. So that being said, it's our pleasure to present the UK Branch Award for 2018 to Mr. Eddie Cadogan. Next, going to the Christchurch East is Arthur Collymore, was born in the fishing village of Zoar's Land, Martins Bay, St. John. He absolutely loved politics. In fact, he boasts of voting in every general election in Barbados since 1986. But there was something special about the May 24th poll. It was the first time he was directly involved in the process of having a candidate elected to office. That candidate was, of course, the current parliamentary representative for Christchurch East, Comrade Wilfred Abrahams. Arthur is being recognized for his outstanding clean up of sargassum seaweed from our South Coast beaches, stretching from Long Beach in Christchurch to the Hilton on Needham Peninsula, a task he voluntarily undertook since August 2011. He describes his objective in the following words: "My aim as a member of Christchurch East is to create a legacy of service from which all will benefit." Ladies and gentlemen, Arthur Collymore. Yes, you're welcome. Yes, yes. Okay, we're going to go to the League of Young Socialists. Kevin is a 32-year-old marketing manager professional of 10 years who has, for the last 9 years, dedicated his efforts to advancing the story, the philosophy, and the cause of his beloved Barbados Labour Party. In 2018, Kevin took vacation and leave without pay to work the length and breadth of the election. Whether it was canvassing in St. Thomas with Minister Cynthia Ford or working with the campaign managers team from headquarters, delivering water, managing meetings, filling mailers, picking up garbage, chairman meetings, and speaking across constituencies, Kevin wholehearted poured effort into the cause of the Barbados Labour Party general election success. Ever committed, Kevin has subsequently resigned from his job to continue to serve the Minister Ford in advancing the cause of the Labour Party. Accordingly, and in this year, the League of Young Socialists has recognized Kevin's effort in conferring upon him this special award. A very helpful and dependable person who is always willing to assist the branch financially and otherwise. A person who can call on any time to cook, clean, or serve, and who is always willing, ready, and able. She joined the Barbados Labour Party on leaving school. That was about in 1979. Then canvassed the area with Bree St. John and later Duncan Carter. The success of a political branch lies in the contribution of its members and their respective willingness to serve at every level. Marilyn Jones is an example of such, and the Christchurch East Central branch is happy to salute her as an awardee. As we go on to a man of honor, we often refer to him in our branch as one of the few people that when there is something to be done, no matter how big or small it may be, he will always respond as follows. Sure, that ain't a problem. All we is one. David has always said that he is here to assist, and he often tells the members of our branch to never be afraid to ask for anything. You can rest assured that he lives up to his promise. David is a businessman and a loyal BLP supporter who is, when it comes to party leader, says, Miss Motley is my girl. David always donates the service of this company to any party members, as he strongly believes that no matter where we are from, across the length and breadth of our nation, that we are one big family. David, we appreciate everything you have done for Christ Church West Central Branch. From this one big family to you, we love you. David King. Rosetta Maycock was chosen as the awardee for the City of Bridgetown because of her honesty, dedication, and commitment to the branch. And the Barbados Labour Party never want to say no, as long as it involves getting the work done, executing it the right way, and most of all, improving the next time. Rosetta would surely be a part of whatever was taking place. She carries a pleasant personality and does not like the spotlight, but stays quietly in the background. Rosetta is known in other constituencies as well. She travels around to represent the city of Bridgetown at branch meetings or activities. She has been a member of the Barbados Labour Party for over 30 years, attends the Women's League, and has been an executive member from 2016. Rosetta Maycock, on behalf of the Member of Parliament for the City of Bridgetown, Lieutenant Colonel Jeffrey Bostick, Minister of Health and Wellness, we the members of the City Branch and the constituents, thank you for your loyalty and commitment to us. We go on to New York branch. The Cardinal BLP journey started at a very early age. Having the luxury of being raised in a BLP household, he developed an early and enduring love for politics. After graduating from Boys Foundation Secondary School, Cardinal's first opportunity to vote was in 1971. Cardinal worked in the Christchurch East constituency with and for Sir Richard Chettenham. In the general elections of 1971 and 1976, he chaired meetings, canvassed house to house, and worked as a polling agent. Also in 1976, he was the treasurer of the Christchurch East branch before he migrated to New York. Cardinal has served as a trustee, A Better Life for Our People, New York. For the last 15 years, he has made a positive impact on the lives of the countless, others through serving the community for over 40 years. Tonight, we applaud this outstanding stewardship to the Barbados. And the end of New York. Tonight, we salute Cardinal Smith. As we go to Christchurch South, Marcetta Walcott, who has been a member of the Barbados Labour Party for over 12 years, is presently the Public Relations Officer for Christchurch South Branch. She can be heard on Morning Barbados radio station 100.7, greeting people of Christchurch and encouraging them to attend an activity that the branch has planned. Due to her many activities involving in community work in 2016, she was chosen to flip the switch to light up Barbados for independence. She has also served as Assistant Secretary of the branch for many years and was given an award for outstanding service by the Christchurch South Branch, plus awarded the Barbados Service Medal in 2009. Ladies and gentlemen, we present this award to Marcetta Walcott. Yeah, 15 years. Okay, here ends the Southern Zone presented, and we thank you, Mr. Comrade Evan Hickson. Up next, we go to the Eastern Zone, and this will be presented by Comrade Arthur Holder.
And just before I make the citation, I offer the citation of our first awardee in the Eastern Zone. I want to draw your attention to the awards that are presented. You would note that the type of award. Now, this year, this is our 80th anniversary, which of course is a momentous occasion. And in seeking to recognize the significance of this moment, we have selected awards with a difference. And so you would know that the awardees would receive an award which featured the Sankofa bird. Sankofa bird in the Twi language of Ghana simply means go back and get it. And it really is a translation which is often associated with the Ghanaian proverb which translates as it is not wrong to go back for that which you have forgotten. The Sankofa bird is an important symbol, and it represents the need to reflect on the past in order to build a successful future. And so I trust that those who have received the awards, that for you it will be a time of reflection and, of course, an opportunity to look forward and continue your outstanding work. And now we recognize the presentations to those in the Eastern Zone. And so our first recipient is one who is very involved in the game of volleyball. He has served the community, he has served the Barbados Volleyball Association, and in the same way he has served that volleyball association and community, he has also served the Barbados Civil Party. He joined the party during the period 1971 to 1976, and that is when we were in opposition. He canvassed and worked hard with the late Jack Odell to help the Barbados Civil Party form the government under the late JMGM Tom Adams. And he was extremely pleased when his childhood friend and buddy Glenn Clark became candidate for the party in 1991 and helped to maintain the seat for the Barbados Civil Party for the past 24 years. As a member, he has continued to serve in many ways to ensure the survival of the St. George North Branch and indeed the Barbados Civil Party. Let's recognize him. Let's recognize Holdman Adamson. Holden Anderson, ladies and gentlemen, from the St. George North constituency. And so we go now to St. Philip South, and we recognize one who started the association with the Barbados Civil Party just after leaving school and can recall in being in the company of persons such as Dee Garner, David Simmons, and L.B. Braffett. She's a member of the St. Michael's South Branch, and although she's never held any management positions in the branch, she served as a floor member with outstanding contributions in the area of her culinary skills. She's a strong support of the party and can be seen traveling all over the island to support various speakers. As the years rolled on, her skills and her knowledge were often utilized in various ways. She is a faithful soldier in the BLP regiment, and we salute her, always ready to help and make contributions when needed. Tonight, as we recognize the constituency of St. Michael North, St. Michael South, we doubly recognize the efforts of Ingrid Brathwaite. St. Philip South, my apologies. But it's a good to you there, girl. And now we go to St. George South. St. George South, and we recognize another individual who's been a member of the BLP from age 17 and will continue to be an active member of the St. George South constituency branch for some 28 years. He is an all-rounder when it comes to politics, an active canvasser with deep knowledge of every nook and cranny of St. George South. It is often said, who Red Man does not know, knows him. Many do not know his real name, but he's known to all as the popular Red Man. He's also a box captain and is known for his ability to systematically clean lists, to verify canvassing notes of others, groups of others, and to identify BLP supporters in all 13 boxes. He believes that the BLP has been the party for the poor people in this country, and he prized the Freehold Tenantries Act as being the best piece of legislation ever to be passed in this country. He is presently an active member of the branch executive of the BLP, and tonight we salute him. Tonight we salute Anderson Critchlow. Anderson Critchlow, as we salute him. Our next recipient has been a loyal member of the Barbados Party for more than 2 decades. He's a small businessman who's resided in St. John all his life. He has functioned in every capacity of treasurer of the branch for several years, and his support for the Barbados Labour Party's candidates in the constituency is standard. His demeanor is unassuming, but he's very quick to call a spade a spade. His efforts during the recent general elections were ramped up tenfold because he felt this was the best chance ever to win the St. John constituency. His advice and support for the candidate, now Member of Parliament, was very instrumental in securing the historic victory. The rest is history, and his name will be added to the storybook when it is printed. It will note his love for party, which is deep-rooted and which cannot be challenged, his love for St. John, and his love for the constituency of the St. John. Let's welcome him. Let's acknowledge Christopher King. His outstanding contribution to the constituency of St. John. Let's hear your applause one more time. And so we go now to St. Philip North. St. Philip North, and recognize the 70-year-old mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother who has been an active supporter of the Barbados Labour Party for 52 years and still remembers clearly her first vote being cast for Didi Garner and Elsie Whitehead when it was the constituency of St. Philip. Many people would not know that she was an island constable and had formal training in karate. She lives by the mantra, always speak the truth and be honest. The members of the St. Michael North branch say thank you, thanks to... I say St. Michael North, right? All right, there must be a reason. The members of St. Philip North Branch say thank you to Vera Reese. Thank you for a job well done. And the Member of Parliament, Representative Sonia Brown, will accept on her behalf. Our final recipient in the Eastern Zone, and we go now to St. Philip West, and we recognize Nigel Weeks. From an early age, he was exposed to the BLP family, having been raised by his grandparents, who were very active members. And as a youngster, he grew up hearing Sir David Simmons speak outside their home where campaign meetings were held. And he became so inspired that he became an active member. He continued working with persons such as Senator Rudolph Greenidge and George Griffith, and continued to realize his deep love for the party. When the St. Philip West constituency was created, he pledged and supported the choice of Leonard Eastman, and in our first representative, the Honorable John King, to whom we worked assiduously around the clock to ensure St. Philip West's first seat in Parliament. We honor him and we recognize the commitment, his hard work, dependability, and his pledge to continue his full support to St. Philip West. And so, let's salute Nigel Weeks. And those are the awardees in the Eastern Zone. Let's give them all a round of applause. Thank you very much, Comrade Arthur Older. I now invite Comrade Dwight Sutherland to facilitate the presentation as we go to the Northern Zone.
All right, so we go to St. Andrew. Mr. Anthony Armstrong has been a pillar in the constituency of St. Andrew, standing alongside our members of Parliament, Mr. George Payne, for over 35 years. He is at every outing and every meeting across the length and breadth of Barbados. Mr. Armstrong, better known as Brown, is someone that all of us can call upon at any hour of the day, no matter what. Whenever you see the license plate number A50 or A50, you know that all you will hear thereafter is, Brown, Brown. For his unwavering and long-standing service to our constituency and our representative, Mr. Armstrong is truly beyond deserving of this award. Yeah. We take our focus to St. James Central. The Grand Constituency of St. James Central is pleased to select Tyrone Emmanuel Barker as its constituency awardee for the year 2018. Comrade Barker also been a BLP party member for over 50 years and especially recalls attending his first at a public meeting at 10 years old, where M.E. Cox was the host in Green Hill, and has been a member of the St. James Central branch since its inception in 2003. He has served as a polling agent for Mr. Gilmore Rochford in 1971. Mr. Barker, at a moment's notice, put forward the voting trend of any box in any constituency over that period. Mr. Barker has been an analyst for the party in every election since May 1978, until 2003. He is faithful member of the St. James Central Branch, offering his skilled advice and knowledge over the years within the constituency, and he is a constant speaker at a spot moment from St. Peter to St. Philip. The St. James Central Branch wish to thank Mr. Barker for his contribution to the branch, his party, and to his nation. We shift our focus to St. Thomas, talking about Rupert Winfield Bain. JP is a long-standing resident of Bridgefield, St. Thomas. Winfield, as he is familiarly known by neighbors, has been a stalwart of the Barbados Labour Party. Bain has a history book in his possession about the BLP performance over the more than 60 years. He remains a loyal, dynamic member who engages in informative and interactive aspects of politics and the party's contribution towards the development of this country. Bain celebrates his 55th wedding anniversary today. He also celebrates his 86th birthday yesterday on October the 25th. Rupert Winfield Bain, JP, is a humble, dedicated, and knowledgeable ambassador for the Barbados Labour Party. We salute him today for his faithfulness. Ladies and gentlemen, Rupert Winfield Bain. Is he here? Okay, Cynthia is going to receive this award on his behalf. Look at her go. All right, we go to St. James South. Our recipient for this year's annual conference is Mr. Patrick Chandler, is the consummate politician. If a politician is a person engaged or interested in politics, that is an accurate description of Patrick. If Patrick, he would canvass 24 hours, and he loves the area of St. James South and is known across the length and breadth of that little part of Barbados. Patrick is hardworking, extremely talented. With his hands, he can build or repair just about anything with his hands and can execute any task with minimal supervision and can be given any commission. Patrick is detailed, oriented, and a good steward of the assets of the branch and constituency office. Patrick is a wonderful support and defender of the MP, and many times he will be seen acting as his bodyguard, driver, sounding board, strategist, protagonist, and if needed, Patrick cares towards the representatives also extend to all. Members of the branch executive, especially Heather Ford, each night Patrick makes his way to her home to check on her in fulfillment of a promise he made to her son Jason. In Heather's words, Patrick is a good boy. Yeah. All right, we go to St. Joseph. Frederick de Courcy Holder became an activist and a member of the Barbados Labour Party from the mid-1970s and would have supported the candidature and election of parliamentary representatives for St. Joseph. Mr. Lindsay Bolden, Sir Richard Cheltenham, and Mr. Dale Marshall. During the 2017 and 2018 election campaign in St. Joseph, which started in September 2017, he was adamant that the campaign team must stay on the ground until whenever elections are called. During that sojourn, he never missed a day of campaigning and was always gave an assessment of the canvas. Frederick de Courcy Holder is a true champion for the causes of the constituents of St. Joseph and the Barbados Labour Party, one who is always willing to assist in promoting the party and spare no effort in defense on a daily basis. The branch can see no one more worthy and fitting at this time to receive this constituency award, and this goes to Mr. Frederick de Courcy Holder. We shift our focus to St. James North. Christina Haynes has been a lifelong supporter of the Barbados Labour Party, a branch member for over a decade. Christina has served on the executive of the St. James North branch for the last 5 years. She currently holds the post of the Public Relations Officer and previously held the post for floor member. Not only is she active in the branch, she also played a vital role in the last 2 general elections, working both as canvasser and the office administrator. Christina comes from a strong BLP family. Ladies and gentlemen, we award Christina Haynes. Since arriving from Guyana over 30 years ago, Ian Mitchell since made Barbados his home and has been given his support to the Barbados Labour Party. His support to the party started with then Member of Parliament for the City of Bridgetown, Dame Billy Miller. He made the official step to join the party just over 10 years ago when he moved to St. Lucie and joined Team Peter Phillips over the years. Ian has become the consummate branch member, offering himself to the carpenter, the mason, the transporter, and even the pharmacist. In addition to this, Ian has taken on the role of branch treasurer, and he has been shouldering this responsibility for the last 3 years. He was recently re-elected for the 2018 or 2019 year. Ian is thankful to be a part of this historic win of the BLP in 2018 general elections, and he's hopeful that the party will continue to help the less fortunate and empower the youth. Barbados Labour Party St. Lucie branch proudly salutes our man, devoted member, Ian Mitchell. You're welcome. Okay, so we go to St. Peter, mainly for Mary Williams, was born into a family and a community of ardent Barbados Labour Party supporter. She joined the St. Peter constituency branch and the League of Young Socialites and served as secretary to the branch from 1987 to 1995 and is presently the floor member of the 2018 to 2019 committee. She was also part of the successful nomination teams to elect a candidate for the constituency of St. Peter from the 1991 general election until the last one in May 2018. In the community, she previously served as secretary of Diamondshire Sports Club and presently the treasurer of the football club. Mary Williams is a BLP stalwart in every sense of the word, and we salute her. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Comrade Dwight. Thank you. And let's give you applause one more time for the recipients in the Northern Zone. It's always important to recognize young talent, and so I want now to recognize a group of young musicians, and perhaps you who were at the Ermi Bourne lecture, you might have seen their performance. So as we prepare for the special awards, let's take a break and enjoy some music and enjoy the voice of a young Barbadian, a student of Courage and Parry. Let's enjoy Renika Cave.
Of living life on a merry-go-round, and you can't find the fighter, but I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out and move mountains. We gon' walk it out and move mountains. And I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day, I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. And I'll rise up, high like the waves, I'll rise up, in spite of the ache, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you. And the silence isn't quiet, and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe. And I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll take the world to its feet and move mountains. Bring him to his feet and move mountains. And I rise up, I rise like the day, I rise up, I rise unafraid, I rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you. and for that we have each other. Yes, we will rise, oh, we'll rise. We'll rise, and I'll rise up high like the waves. I'll rise up in spite of the air. I will rise 1,000 times again. And we'll rise up high like the waves. We'll rise up in spite of the air. We'll rise up and we'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you. We'll rise again. Thank you.
Yeah. A description backstage was awesome. I can borrow that description. Truly an incredible voice. Let's give another round of applause. A student of Courage and Parry, Renika Cave. And you would not have seen the musicians, but she was backed by a number of professional musicians across the island. Thank you so much. We now recognize those in the areas of sports, culture, education, and the environment. And so I invite now, as we present the Sports Award, I invite Comrade John King to please come to the stage, and you will have the opportunity to present both the Sports and the Culture Awards. The first Sports Award goes to Juliet Worrell, who is a founding member of Touch of Class Women's Road Tennis, and that was formed in 2014 to increase the participation of females in Barbados indigenous sport. Juliet is the first female to recognize, organize, and host a national road tennis tournament for women and girls. Hers is a passion for sports, a passion and an interest in sports, and of course, one in her community of Holders Hill. Road tennis is, as noted by Juliet, a way in which Barbados can be totally recognized. And so tonight we recognize her for her contribution to the game of sports, the contribution to road tennis, and her contribution to the community. Kindly acknowledge Juliet Worrell.
Randy Harris, a sales manager by profession, has had an outstanding career in the area of football management and administration. He has been involved in football since 1970 and is a product of the Christchurch League. He was also instrumental seeing the popular Paradise Football Club being promoted in 1981 to then Division I of Barbados football, serving in a dual roles of coach and manager. Tonight, he is being honored and presented with the support and with Sports Awards for his contribution to the development of the sport. Ladies and gentlemen, this award goes to Randy Harris. Chef Ezra Beckles is the executive Executive Pastry Chef, Senior Sous Chef at the Turtle Beach Resort, Elegant Hotels, Barbados, and he was formerly trained at the Culinary Institute of America and was inspired to pursue the art of pastry making when he trained with the Canadian Culinary Olympic team. Chef Beckles has mentored some of the island's young, talented pastry chefs and continues to educate, innovate, and contribute his ideas and passion in the art of pastry and desserts. A former water polo player, he enjoys swimming and sailing in his leisure times. Ladies and gentlemen, we present this award to Chef Ezra Beckles. Okay, so for the Education Award will be presented by Comrade Rommel Springer. Ishmael Roet has been an educator all his life, and he firmly believes that our nation's future depends on the education of its people. In 1971, Ishmael and a few friends started the Barbados O-Level Institute as a result of encountering many school leavers and adults who needed to continue their education. A significant part of the Institute's story is the provision of numerous scholarships, truly a pinnacle of development in the lives of many. The Barbados O-Level Institute and its founder, Ishmael Ruitt, is deserving of an education award at our 80th Delegates Conference. Here to receive this award is his son, Andre Ruitt. Next, we have the Environmental Champion Award, and this will be presented by Comrade Kurt Humphrey. Carla Daniel is deeply passionate about species conservation in the Caribbean, especially in her native island, Barbados. She has worked on projects targeting a variety of species, including birds, bats, geckos, parrots, fish, spiders, and mushrooms. Starting in 2006, Carla has dedicated her time and effort to the conservation of sea turtles, in particular, the critical endangered hawksbill. Carla is a member of the Council of the Barbados National Trust and sits on the newly formed Natural Heritage Subcommittee with an aim of promoting awareness and preserving important local habitats or trees. Carla has found her calling in conservation and research in the Caribbean. Her next step is doctoral studies, through which she hopes to be of further benefit. Her work in this discipline is well noted and is only fitting that we recognize her efforts, and salute her with the Award for Sustainable Environmental Protection and Awareness. Thank you.
That completes the Special Recognition Awards. And now we go to the Party Awards. We salute those within the party with the Special Awards. We recognize Conference Appreciation Awardees. I'm going to invite Comrade Reginald Farley, Treasurer, to make this presentation. Both of our awardees have contributed to manufacturing in Barbados. Their brand is a staple brand. The first awardee, certainly in the context of awards and recognition, have always lent support to any organization, school, churches, any event across Barbados. And so tonight, at the Barbados Labour Party's 80th anniversary conference, we recognize the contribution of this Barbadian manufacturer. And I invite you, ladies and gentlemen, to kindly applaud D Blades Trophies Limited. Our next awardee, ladies and gentlemen, comrades, and while we speak of Barbadian manufacturing, we also speak of fashion and style. And this company has certainly done this for a number of years as it relates to the development of manufacturing, the development of Barbadian products. And so tonight we recognize CSES Enterprises. Perhaps you're familiar with the name Upbeat, and we recognize them for their contribution to the Barbadian landscape. Now you can go. Our next award, ladies and gentlemen, is a salute, a conference salute to two individuals. I invite Comrade Sonia Brown. Please come forward as we make this presentation. Our first salute goes to one who's synonymous, whose name is synonymous with the Barbados Labour Party. Employed as the party's porter and messenger, and on any given day, despite not being issued with an official uniform, can be seen in Bridgetown carrying his assigned duties, wearing a Barbados Labour Party shirt, and carrying the mail in a highly visible Barbados Labour Party tote bag. It is hard to believe, despite his very youthful appearance, that he has been employed by the party for the past 24 years. He derives personal satisfaction from performing his duties and recognizes that it is all about the thousands of members and followers of the Barbados Labour Party. Have a word with him, and he's likely to tell you the party should be operating, whether it's this way or that way. We salute him, ladies and gentlemen. Join with me as we recognize Don Ishmael, Conference Salute, Conference Awardee. Our next salute, our next awardee looks at a young lady from Spikestown. Yes, educated and in town. Fellow comrade, the late Anthony Chubby Williams and Frankie Weeks are the persons who were instrumental in guiding her into politics and ensuring that she became a member of this great party. In 1999, she became a member and has been active from then until now. An active member of the Women's League and also a member of the City of Bridgetown branch, you can call on her because she is always there. Ladies and gentlemen, available and willing to do any task assigned of her, we wish her well and we salute Patricia Rock, our conference salute, our conference awardee. Thank you very much, Comrade Sonia. And I invite now Comrade Gail Powers Yard, Conference Secretary, to make this presentation to the Conference Committee's Award of Recognition. Our awardee, ladies and gentlemen, is a trained surgeon and politician who has served the Barbados Labour Party in many capacities with distinction. From 2001 to 2003, he was the leader of government business in the Senate and then proceeded his successful campaign to become a Member of Parliament representing the constituency of Christchurch South from 2003 to 2008. It was during this period that he was appointed as Minister of Health, arguably one of the most progressive and impactful of that time. A long-standing member of the National Executive Council of the party, he has been an Assistant Secretary, the Chairman of the party, and he currently stands as the party's General Secretary. We recognize his contribution to the 2018 general elections, and this victory under his stewardship and that of the entire team was awesome on so many levels. Tonight we salute him. Tonight we recognize him for his contribution, we recognize him for his stewardship, and we recognize him for his behind-the-scenes advice to the conference committee. Tonight, let's recognize Comrade Jerome Walcott. Presently serving as Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, and within the upper house, Leader of Government Business, General Secretary of the Barbados Labour Party, Comrade Jerome Walcott. Thank you very much, Gail. I invite Comrade Adrian Ford to come forward as we make the presentation to the Youth Award. As a young woman, she enjoys politics. She enjoys the passion as it relates to politics. And within the Barbados Labour Party, she has proven to be an essential model. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we recognize her. We recognize her for her continued passion in the area of politics. We recognize her for her exceptional interest in youth work. And of course, we recognize her for unswerving dedication to the Barbados Labour Party. And so tonight, receiving the Youth Award is Stacey Medford. Thank you very much, Comrade Adrian Ford. And now, we turn our attention to the Party Chairman's Award. And Comrade George Payne, Chairman, I invite you please to come forward. There's no question that each member of this party was desirous of, even hungry for, a victory at the polls in the last general elections. And so on May 24, we experienced one of the sweetest victories this party has ever been able to engineer. And it was made even sweeter with the transformation of the once elusive and seemingly impenetrable St. John's seat. We moved it from yellow to red. Comrade Charles Griffith and his team made this happen. Comrade Griffith, an active member of the Barbados Labour Party, who has the BLP at heart and his love for the country, and more precisely, the parish of St. John. With singleness of mind, Comrade Griffith engaged his branch and was able to inspire them to believe as he believed and see what he saw. St. John is ours, thanks to Comrade Charles Griffith, thanks to the branch of St. John. And tonight we are pleased to present to them the Chairman's Award. Thank you very much. If you kindly remain, yes, good. As we now turn our attention to the Ermy Bourne Award, and you would know that this is a first-time award. The recipient of the Ermy Bourne Award for 2018 is one, ladies and gentlemen, can only be referred to as a true daughter of St. Joseph. There's no doubt that the Barbados Labour Party is firmly secured in her heart. There's no doubt, ladies and gentlemen, that she believes that challenges should be faced ahead, and she puts this into practice in every role that she plays within this great party. For 4 years, she served as president of the Women's League of the Barbados Labour Party before taking position as third vice chairman. She has spearheaded numerous projects and more recently played a major role in the party's historic success in the 2018 general elections. Ladies and gentlemen, comrades, let's salute her as we offer the Ermy Bourne Award to Comrade Patricia Paris. Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you very much, Comrade Payne. We now have our BLP Special Award. And thank you. The special award invites Prime Minister, conference. Okay, just hold on a minute. Kirk, could you come here a minute, please? All right, just had to get that correct. All right, so we have our Chairman's Award, and we are here. And the Chairman's Award recognizes the constituencies across the length and breadth of Barbados. But tonight, we want to recognize this particular constituency. As we think about victory, as we think about hard work, as we think about the task ahead, this constituency certainly made it possible. And tonight, the Constituency Award, as reflected in the Chairman's recognition, goes to the constituency of where? Of where? St. John. Thank you very much, Comrade George. And now we turn our attention to the BLP Special Award, and I invite our political leader, Prime Minister of Barbados, Comrade Mia Amor-Motley, to present these awards. This is the BLP Special Awards. Our party leader, our Prime Minister, Comrade Mia Motley. Our first BLP Special Award goes to one who's a proud Barbadian and who states clearly he will live no other place in the world but Barbados. He has served as president of a number of companies in Barbados and also as consultant to companies across the Caribbean and internationally. The word stalwart does not fully do justice in describing his contribution and relationship to the Barbados Labour Party. We're talking about one who joined the party at just 12 years old and as a result has 60 years of membership under his belt. Tonight we recognize him as one of the elders of our party and one of the surviving members of the great combination, Barbados and the BLP. Let's recognize the award offered to Comrade Aaron Trust as he receives the BLP Special Award. The Milroy Reese Award, presented, ladies and gentlemen, to one who is professional, diligent, and outspoken, words which readily come to mind when we think about her. She's been making her mark on the landscape of the Barbados Labour Party for over 5 years, playing a key role in the resounding success of Comrade Dwight Sutherland in St. George South in the 2013 general elections. She has raked grass, cleared garbage, carried barriers, cheered and delivered impassioned speeches. She expresses a special word of thanks to Prime Minister Motley and Comrade Cynthia Ford, Dr. Jerome Walcott, Dwight Sutherland, Mackie Holder, and her dearly departed uncle, Roosevelt Tate. Here's a quote from her. "What inspires me about Mia is not the finished product of the brilliant Prime Minister before us, it is the journey to get there. She has lived and died a million times in political life, but each time she has picked herself up, learnt a lesson, and moved forward. Her example of learning from mistakes and continuous growth is one I endeavor to follow." The words of the Milroy Reese awardee. Ladies and gentlemen, let's recognize Shanika Roberts Odell. Very good, Shanika. Very good. And I have seen her work during elections, boy, I tell you. Talk about energy. Our final award, ladies and gentlemen, is our top awards. We know this party, and we know those who have been responsible for the development of this party. Certainly when we look at the journey as offered by our featured speaker, Sherwood McCaskey, we recognize why this individual is deserving of the Grant Lee Adams Awards. Ladies and gentlemen, this individual was born in St. John, for those of you who don't know. So St. John, he's back home. Beyond his career as an educator, he's also was involved in journalism. His passion for shaping young minds saw him founding Cades Academy in 1971, and in that same time, he entered politics as a candidate for the Barbados Labour Party. He believes strongly in the work of the Barbados Labour Party, and he has served in every capacity. And so tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are proud, we are privileged, and we certainly love the idea of offering this to him. I speak, ladies and gentlemen, of Comrade Delal Bradshaw.
Ladies and gentlemen, as Comrade Delal comes up, I just want to say, with respect to him and to Aaron and to all of you, that we are conscious that we don't stand here in St. John by accident, that we have come here on the shoulders of those of you who not only plowed to build this great party when you were in the active participation, but we are also conscious that the work that you have given to us in recent years has been invaluable in helping us to rebuild this institution, and that we, in its 80th year, can celebrate in a parish that we, Sir Henry, we've come home to you, literally, that we can celebrate is of great importance to us, but we are ever mindful that we did not get here on our own. Congratulations to you all.
Let's hear your applause as we recognize Comrade Delal Bradshaw receiving the Grantley Adams Award at the 2018 Barbados Labour Party Conference.
I know that Santia would love to have been here, and she is with us watching tonight and in spirit, and we wish her all the very best as we celebrate the work of her father.
Thank you so much. Prime Minister, if you can kindly remain, just stay with me for one moment. And this is a special gift presented to you from the Women's League of the Barbados Labour Party. It reads, Comrade Mia Amor Motley, your indomitable courage, keen intellect, selflessness, compassion, and commitment to serving Barbados continues to be an inspiration to us all. We salute you, Madam Prime Minister, dated October 2018. And if I may, I invite you to remain with me one more time. It can be short, I promise you, it will be short.
Comrades, ladies and gentlemen, it is my special honor on behalf of the Barbados Labour Party to give a special gift to our political leader, our Prime Minister. This one is for her. Let's do it for Barbados.
You know, these men know that I don't like surprises. I don't like surprises, but I'm humbled. Thank you very much. And I'm particularly humbled because, as I said just now, we could not get here on our own. And I know where we are going, that if you have come thus far with us, join us for the rest of the journey. God bless you.
We prepare now. First of all, I want you to give a big round of applause and a shout out and all the other things you can do. A good bawling for all of our recipients, every single one. We salute you. Let's continue to do this for Barbados. Let's say thanks now. And so I invite Comrade Damian Sands to offer the vote of thanks.
Honorable Madam Prime Minister, honorable members of Parliament, Master of Ceremonies, awardees, specially invited guests, comrades, ladies and gentlemen, good night. I'm honored to be able to offer the vote of thanks on this truly special occasion. So firstly, I would like to congratulate all of the awardees this evening. It is not by chance that you have been honored with these awards. Your hard work and commitment has not gone unnoticed, and I hope that you accept these awards as tangible representations of the Barbados Labour Party's appreciation to you. Ladies and gentlemen, I ask again that we give the awardees tonight another round of applause. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to all of the performers tonight. Firstly, for clearing their busy schedules so that they made sure that they were available for us tonight. And secondly, for ensuring that we were thoroughly entertained by the exceptional performances that they put on. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for the performances. I would also like to thank the Master of Ceremonies tonight for ensuring that we had a smooth and efficient running order for this award ceremony. A round of applause for the Master of Ceremonies, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, I must mention and express my gratitude and appreciation to the catering staff for their fantastic service during the cocktail reception this evening. Thank you. A round of applause for the reception staff. Ladies and gentlemen, it is not by chance that something like this can happen overnight. Events like these require planning and thorough execution. And it is in this regard that I would finally like to use my opportunity to express a hearty thank you to the members of the conference committee who have dedicated both their time and effort to ensuring that this event was a success tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in giving them a round of applause. It has truly been an eventful night. And I thank you for attending and sharing this wonderful moment with us as we celebrate our 80th ceremony for the Barbados Labour Party General Conference. It has truly been my pleasure. Ladies and gentlemen, good night.